I am making my very own minigame server, and with that comes the daunting task of making a PvP arena. Now of course, not everybody experienced this, but at least I wanted a PvP arena, and I remember it was quite hard to find information. So today, I'm gonna show you how to make an arena just like this one. Okay, so before watching this, I do want you to know that this is gonna be quite command heavy, but don't worry, I'm gonna explain everything as well as I can. It really isn't that bad. It might look intimidating, but it isn't that bad. So if you just follow along, it won't be a problem. Okay, so first things first, we have this portal. Now, you can see this is quite a bit, and it might seem very scary, but basically, I'll first start off by just giving you the whole setup here so you can copy it. For you guys who don't know, that's repeating command blocks, that's chain command blocks. But yeah, basically how this works is this command block right here detects whenever you're close to the portal. So basically, you can see this command right here. You can see /testfor at p with a range of 4 with these square brackets. So also, just to make things simple for you, I will just have the commands in the description, so you can just copy them. Pretty simple, but basically whenever you enter, I've got command blocks disabled right now, but just so nothing goes wrong while I'm recording. But yeah, basically whenever you get close, it will actually trigger this. Now that brings me to the comparators that are next to it. Now, for those who don't know what it does, it basically just detects whenever this thing is activated. So whenever you can see it's the R equals 4, whenever it detects the player, it actually sends a pulse to these pistons. Now that's important just because of one major factor, which I will explain. Also, this command block right here, if you don't have a lava portal, you don't need this. I just have that this gives constant instant health, just so you know you don't die while going into the fire. If you want to, here's the command. I will leave it down in the description, but you don't need it if you don't have a fire portal. Okay, so what does this piston do? So these pistons, basically whenever this triggers these signals, the piston will push the block across. Now these are regular pistons, that's very important. Don't use sticky pistons, it's not gonna work then. But if you use regular pistons, it's gonna push it along, which will trigger this one, which I have just named Fortress. But basically, right here it's /TP at P and then your X, Y, and Z coordinates. This is where you want the players to teleport when fighting. Now obviously they're supposed to teleport to different places, which is why it's important to have this circuit, because that way, whenever this is triggered again, this piston moves the block back to here, which in turn triggers this command, which is basically other XYZ coordinates. Whenever you want the enemy to spawn, that's what you're gonna write in. So you're gonna write those two areas down. So these two should be different, the two areas that you want them to spawn at. Now behind this, I just have the playsound, this /playsound random.orb. It's not a big deal. This basically just makes a ding sound whenever you enter the portal. You don't have to have this at all. I really don't think it's necessary, but I think it's pretty cool. So, but these are important, these 4 right here, and that is that you want to fill the XYZ. Now these are also optional, but in an ideal world, you would have this. So you would fill basically 2 areas. You need to check out a video on how to fill areas if you don't know that already, which I do have in my command block video too. Basically, you see it's /fill XYZ, and then you want to fill to another set of XYZ coordinates with barriers. This would basically make so that you're surrounded with a cage, which makes it so that whenever you're there, you're not gonna be able to run already forward, but rather you're gonna be stuck until another enemy comes. And same thing here, just for the other one. Obviously you need to do the same thing, but with different coordinates. wherever you want these guys to be trapped and wherever you want these guys to be trapped. This last one also fills up now. This is important, basically the 2 blocks that are in the middle, or just the blocks in the middle of the barrier. You want to fill those with air, obviously, because otherwise you're going to suffocate and it's not going to work. So basically just check the coordinates inside the barrier and you'll be fine. So just so you don't suffocate. And I have the same thing here, just fill with the coordinates. Also, I have these to be delayed in ticks 0. Redstone should always be active. And then chain should be the block type for these, and also these, of course. Alright, but now that you hopefully got that, I will once again go like this so you can make the circuit yourself. I'm gonna go like this probably so you can see. Now that we've talked about the portal taking you to the arena, let's move on to the actual arena. Okay, so like I said at the start, this is gonna be very command block heavy. So let's start in the middle where I have this command block right here, which basically has a command block that is /testfor at A with a radius of 30 or range 30. Now, depending on how big your arena is, you might want to change this a little bit, but to be like range 40 or maybe 20 if it's really small. But you can imagine it basically being like a little test for it just tests for players in the area. Now, it's important to have at A because you don't want only one player to detect. You want to detect all the players within that range, so that's why it's that A. Also, this is a always active repeat command with a delay in ticks of 0. I also have execute on first tick selected. Now around this is once again those comparators which I explained earlier, just sends out a pulse. Now I'm gonna start with probably the simplest one, and that is right here. So basically this one that knows whenever this detects you and sends out a pulse to this. Now this in turn sends out the same signal strength to these. Now that's why I have them there really, because this thing only sends out a strength of 1. I'm actually gonna show you. 1 piece of redstone dust in the chest, and then place a comparator. You can see it lights up just like it's gonna do with the command block. And then the redstone dust, but you can see it stops right here. It just barely lights up here and stops right here. So that's why I have another comparator, because the comparator detects this signal strength and passes on that same signal strength. Because if you, for example, decide that you're gonna place down a repeater, it will actually make the signal stronger. Now why we need that 1 signal strength is because this thing, whenever it detects 2 players, it gives a signal of 2. Now this can obviously make it so that the game starts first when there's actually 2 people left, like in the area, so you can't start a battle by yourself. If we're talking about this is probably the simplest area. So once again I'm gonna go up so you can just get a bit of a view on how it actually looks. I'm actually gonna toggle my UI off, and if you do fill in all this redstone, we can move straight over to commands. Okay, so now that you hopefully got a bit of a circuit going on, we can start with the commands. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is this one, which gives all the items. These commands are going to vary a lot, but basically what you want to do is, you can see, just type in /give at P, and then I have an iron sword. Now you can have diamond sword, you can choose to not give a sword at all. Anyways, this is just a give command. Now, these chain commands, basically what they do is, whenever this thing triggers, these trigger after it. So here I have again, I want them to get some golden apples. You can see, so I give at P golden apple and I give them 3. You get the point, you can give as many items as you want. Now a very important thing is this one. Now this is the most complicated one of the video, so bear with me here. I'm gonna explain it. Now honestly, I'm not even too familiar with the command, but basically what it does is it replaces the item at your armor. Like, so if you write slot.armor.chest, you will actually, it will replace the item that you have on your chest. Now obviously I have this for everyone. Here I have just the same, just with the chest, and then the head, and then finally the feet. and you do the same thing, you do the exact same commands here. Now the reason why is just so that it's just because we give a at P, which means we give it to the nearest player. Now if there's typically 2 players, one on this side, one on this side, both of them of course need items, so that's why I have one of these giving items to one player and an exact same one giving to the other player. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the countdown. Now this is a very cool thing. Now once again, this comparator has a signal strength of 1 when it's 1 player, but when there's 2, then it activates this. Now once again, this one strengthens the signal so that it reaches all the way. So whenever this is triggered, there's 2 players in the area, it starts the countdown. Now this has a delay in ticks 50. Now you can change it, but I think 50 is like the sweet spot. Now this I just have /title at P title and then 3. So that's what I have on every single one. And then of course I have some chain commands. Now it's important that these have a delay in ticks of 20. So basically here I have the same thing, just that it says 2 after 20 ticks. After 20 more ticks it says 1. Then it has the fight. And then finally you want to make sure to fill in whatever coordinates you want to clear the barriers. Now if you don't have barriers, obviously that's not necessary. If you do, like I have, then you'll have to write in a command where it basically takes away the items. Now that we have the countdown, we can, and also the give items, let's move on to the third that's on both sides, the sounds. Now this is very important to match up with your countdown. Now of course you don't have to have sounds, you can just have 3, 2, 1, but I like to have it. So basically here I just have /playsound note.pling, and I have that it plays to the nearest player. That's why it's on both sides, because again I don't want it to play to everyone, because I also have other mini games up there. And then I have this exact command over here, just with a 20 tick delay, of course, matching up with the 2, and of course a chain, and then another chain with the same command, and then finally I have the last one, which is the playsound mob.enderdragon.growl, which is basically the one where the dragon goes. That probably sounded absolutely horrible. I'll fix it in editing, it's fine. Okay, so, and that exact thing is replicated on the second side. You can see it's the exact same thing, same with the countdown too. So, we've covered all these. Now we're gonna move on to this one. Now this is a chest refill. Now this one's gonna vary a lot if you even want a chest, but I obviously have a chest in the middle, so I want that. So whenever a player comes back, it's gonna fill up a chest in the middle with this thing. Now I want a splash potion of healing, I just think it's very fun. Now of course you can change it to strength, fire resistance, enchanted golden apple, totem, whatever you want. But I feel like this works the best, it's the most balanced for my game, so I basically have /clone, and then you want the coordinates of this chest. So now that's what I want to have on the first row, and I want that exact same thing on the second one, because I want to clone only one block. And then whenever you want to copy it, so these 3 last ones, maybe you want to copy it to a specific location, then you'll just fix these 3 to the correct coordinates where you want the chest to be placed, and that's pretty simple. Now again, if you place a chest on top of this, it's super simple. You can just place obviously the instant health potion or whatever you want there, and it will literally copy exactly what is in there. And now we're gonna move on to the final step. Basically we have the same thing where one of these comparators move on the signal to another comparator. I don't want to strengthen the signal, I just want a weak signal. But this thing's very important to be right next to the redstone, and then after that you can have a repeater going into here. Now basically this is the title command that's gonna say waiting for opponent. Now you can obviously choose, again you can see I've got the big large text, and then it's again just /title at P title, and then just have the waiting for opponent. With a delay of 40, I just think that's perfect, and it's supposed to be repeat and needs redstone. What this does is very cool actually, because whenever this has one player, the signal reaches to here, right? So this doesn't light up, which means this thing will still be activated. And that also pushes a piston with a redstone block away. Right here we have the command block constantly giving you this message like it's waiting for your opponent while you're actually close to it. But then whenever another player enters, this signal shows up, bringing this one to close off. It basically, I'll show you with a lever. It works the same way because, you know, I don't have many friends. But basically, whenever two players, it gives a stronger signal strength, and that closes off this torch, or it shuts it off, which actually brings the piston back, and that gives a stronger signal strength than the one that you get from here. So that is exactly why you have this kind of weird circuit, because you only want it to show waiting for opponent whenever one player is nearby. So whenever two players join, it's just gonna bring it back, and this whole circuit is gonna stop. So that is it for the first episode that's official from the Bedrock Games server. Now again, I'm gonna keep working on this server, so if you do wanna see more, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, you know, so you don't miss the videos, because I am gonna make a whole lot more videos on this server. Again, we have parkour section, we have a survive section, and today we tackled a little bit on the PvP. Now of course there's gonna be more mini games and more tutorials, so you can make your own server too, or just your own mini games. But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this first episode. It's a very different style of video, but I would love to make more, so if that seems interesting, again, subscribe so I know you enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.